everybody. Welcome to episode 5 of the Star Sitdown. I am here with the managing editor of the University Star, Miss Gabby Ybarra. Hello.
Hi.
You good?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm good. It's all good.
Why are you nervous? It's
I
good.
don't know. I told you this before we got on. I'm reminding myself that this is just a casual conversation, not interrogation. I have my coffee right here to help me out, to pick me up. It'll be good. It's all
Okay.
good.
Okay, good. Yeah, don't be nervous. This is chill. It's just you and me and
Okay.
everybody that's watching. So there's no pressure at all, okay?
Okay.
Okay. How are you? How's school?
I'm pretty good. School has been good. I'm just still trying to catch up right now. It's been a little bit difficult to sort of figure out what time I'm going to do certain things because obviously with classes being online, you have to actually motivate yourself to do things and actually say okay, I'm going to do this at this time. It's not like I have to actually physically go to class. So trying to get myself and motivate myself to do work has been a bit of a challenge, but other than that, I think classes have actually been pretty good for me. I've been trying my best to keep on track, and so far it's been good.
I meant to ask you really a couple weeks ago. I never really got around to it. Are you in the electronic media class, like programming for electronic media?
Yeah, I am
Yeah,
actually.
I
Wait, are
thought
you in
you
that
were.
class?
Yeah, I am. I am. We don't
Oh,
have
okay.
it. We don't have it on the same day, but we have the same professor and stuff. Do you like it?
um okay, so I definitely like what we are learning. I think it's very interesting. I'm not a super huge fan obviously of the format of the
Yeah,
class.
true.
um Gosh, I don't want to talk trash about Tim England's class on here so publicly, but I think about it is I don't really like how obviously it's over Zoom, it's not ideal. I would definitely prefer to go in person, but I'm just not a super huge fan of the fact that he doesn't actually lecture. It's just all pre-recorded stuff, and I just think that's super stale and kind of boring. So, it is what it is.
I I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are we doing? What's the point? Like, if it's gonna be shared with us regardless, I could
Yeah.
just listen to them all later. That is kind of bad. I mean, what I will say, I'm happy they're gonna change the name of the class to electronic media, like for entertainment. Because when I
Yeah.
signed up for the class, I literally thought we're gonna be coding or doing some other stuff. I mean, I
Yeah.
should in the description of the course, it said it said what it is now, which is talk about broadcast and this, that, and the other. I wasn't really paying attention. I just thought, it's an elective. I'm using it for my minor instead of my major. I'm like, I'll
Mhm.
take it. It's whatever. But I think it's pretty cool, to be honest. One thing I will
Yeah,
say. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think the subject matter is really good. I am also taking it as an elective. I'm not, in electronic media major or anything, but I just took it because I just needed a class to take. But I definitely do think everything in the class is interesting. I'm just not a super huge fan of the format. That's it. I'm not trying to talk trash about his class. It's just the format. It's just weird.
Have the shows that people have been showing you good? The Finding Gold.
Um, you know what? In the shows that I have seen, I haven't seen anything that I really wanted to see yet. A lot of the shows are super random, I haven't heard of it. But yeah, nothing good so far.
It has shown me that one man's trash is another man's treasure. Because a lot of the shows that people are showing, I really don't like them. I could tell they're not my type of show. I wouldn't binge it. Literally, I'm like, this is garbage. For real.
Yeah.
I'm not BSing. And then they talk so good about it, how it's interesting, and I don't know. It's just man, there's really something. Everybody's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, people have their own individual tastes. Uh, Yeah, nothing has stood out to me so far. I'm actually gonna pitch a show called Pen 15. I don't know if you've seen that show, but it's on Hulu.
No, what's it about?
Um, so so it's actually about these two girls. It's actually a comedy, and it's about these two girls. They're actually like 30-year-old actresses, but they're actually like playing 13-year-old girls that are like eighth graders in middle school. So like obviously like they look old and they stand out because literally like everyone else like in the show is like eight, but like they look super old. So I think that's sort of like the comedic aspect of it. But it's just like a comedy about like these two girls who are like best friends and like I don't know, it's just like so nostalgic for me because I look back at it and I'm just like, oh my God, like I used to be like that. And so like in the show, like there's this girl and she has like the same like I'm not even kidding. She has like the same bed frame and nightstand that like I had when I was like her age.
Oh, really?
And it shows her like in her room and she's just like talking to her friend on the phone. I'm like, oh my God, that's like me, like when I was like in middle school. So it's just like super nostalgic. But that's what I'm gonna pitch, but like I'm probably not gonna pitch that until like the like whenever my name comes up, which it hasn't yet.
I did mine today. It's been weeks. It's kind of annoying because I thought because like my last name starts with a D, I was gonna be like one of the first people. Like you can knock it out and just go. And it's taken forever. I did the last OG. Have you seen it?
No.
I think well, I don't know your taste. I think it's pretty funny. I think it's well made. It's Tracy Morgan. Basically, he comes out of jail. Like he got sent to jail for selling crack. And pretty much, no, don't laugh. I'm serious, okay? He got sent to jail for selling crack, and then Tiffany Haddish in the show was like his girlfriend, and like they were in love, and he had to spend 15 years in jail, for his crime. And basically, the show follows him like getting out of jail and trying to like readjust to society. So like Brooklyn like has changed a lot, right? It has changed a lot. He's very gentrified. It's very hipster, and like he's a OG, like he's a original gangster. So it's a lot different than like back in the day when everyone was running the streets and there was crime and all that. And it's just very interesting. It's got Cedric the Entertainer in it. It's got it was produced by Jordan Peele. It has Method Man in it. It's a really good show. It's a really good show. I think that's
Yeah.
gold. I think that's gold. Okay.
Yeah, I want to say like if Jordan Peele's producing it, it's probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
he's a beast.
Yeah.
I wanted to also address the elephant in the room. You got COVID?
No.
I don't know. I saw your
Like,
tweet.
okay, okay, so let me just clear this up for everyone. Okay, like right here, right now. I don't know if I had COVID, but I honestly do not think I had COVID. But then again, I did not get tested. So like I can't tell you like definitively that I did not have it, but like I am like 99.9% sure that I did not. And I'll tell you why, okay? So like it was after the first week of September. My mom and dad, they came down and, we spent like the weekend together. It was fun. Right after that, I got sick. My mom got sick and my brother got sick. And like my symptoms were like, I had a cough. It was not a dry cough. It was a
Mm.
wet cough.
Mm.
So there's that one thing. Now I did lose my sense like of taste, which is obviously like the biggest COVID-19 symptom there is. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically I made it. Kim is referring to a tweet that I made on Twitter where I mentioned the fact that like I lost my sense of taste and I had spent like $10.83 on this meal that I literally could not taste. And I was so bitter about that.
That
And
was
I tweeted
sus.
that.
That was really sus.
I tweeted that. And like all of a sudden, like all these people from the Star, because not only you thought I had COVID, all these people from the Star were asking me if I had COVID, and I was like, no, like I don't think so. And so, look, I feel better now. It's already been 2 weeks. I quarantined for 2 weeks. I didn't go to school. I did all my classes online. I didn't go to the Star office. I feel better now. Everything's fine. My mom, I really do think she had COVID though, because like she was coughing way more than me. She lost her sense of taste. And also, like, she had body aches and everything.
I
So
think your
I honestly think
family
she had
had
COVID.
COVID. Your family had COVID. Where were they? They came from Corpus to here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yo, why did you tweet that? Like, I'm so dead ass. Like, when I saw that, I was like, what is she like? Why are you I thought, I was like, is she broadcasting it to everybody? Like, because, like, it's pretty well known that, like, that's what happens. Like, that's the main symptom
yeah.
of, like, that and that only. Like, you
Okay,
don't just
but
lose
to
your
be
sense of smell
fair,
and taste.
I mean, to be fair, like if you have like a regular cold, like you also have that same symptom, right?
I don't know.
You do, okay?
Okay.
Because I looked it up. Yeah, I looked it up. So like,
Okay.
yeah, I
Okay.
did like the research and like, look, I'm fine now, and so that's all that matters. It's all good.
Who asked you from the Star? Did a
So
lot
you
of people
you
ask you?
okay, so you asked me, I know Amira, our assistant opinions editor, she asked me if I was doing okay, presumably because I think she thought I had COVID. And then also our multimedia editor, Rebecca Harrell, she had also mentioned it. And I think Jaden had also like asked me about it too. So because like I already knew that you thought I had COVID
How
because
did you know?
okay,
Oh, he
so
told you? Yo,
Jaden told me that you asked him if I had COVID.
I
So
did.
I had a feeling this was gonna come up as like a little topic to talk about. So I had anticipated this. So I was already ready to clear the air, you know.
And he was supposed to tell you that. I mean, not because, like, I'm talking trash, but, like, I was supposed to ask you that. I mean, it's fine. But for real, I was like, I asked him one time, I was like, yo, Gabby got COVID? He's like, man, I don't know, man. I saw her tweet, though. It's looking real suspicious. I was like, I don't know. I didn't want to, like, ask you in, like, a meeting or, like, randomly message
Yeah.
you because I don't know. We're not on that level. You know what I mean? So I just didn't feel comfortable.
I mean, you could have asked me, and I would just tell you straight up, like I don't think I do, but you know,
So you don't think, do you think right now that you had COVID? That's a genuine question.
no. Well, okay, so I really don't think I did, but then again, I didn't get tested, you know?
Why?
So I probably should have, Kim, like in hindsight. Yeah, I probably should have, but
You can
I
get
didn't.
tested for the
So
antibodies. You can get tested for the antibodies. And you can find out that way. Why not?
I don't know. I guess I also just didn't want to leave my apartment too.
Oh.
Like my roommate, like she didn't get sick. I only have one other roommate, and like we obviously like share basically everything. She didn't get sick. Um,
Maybe she was
so
asymptomatic.
possibly, possibly.
I find it funny that you're like, I don't think I had it. Even though your mom probably had it, and then your brother and your dad also got sick.
No, my dad did not get sick. He has like an immune system like a beast. Like I don't think I've ever seen him cough or like sneeze in my entire life. He's fine. He's living his best life. He's fine.
What about your brother?
But my mom had it bad. My brother, it was kind of similar to me. Like I don't know like what happened to my mom. Like she was just like I'm not even kidding. Like I would call her and she would just be coughing the entire time. I'd have to hang up because it was just like so loud, and like I would have my AirPods in and it like hurt my ears like how much she was coughing. But like she said that like she just like had the body aches, and then she, couldn't taste anything, coughing. So,
So it's just you two.
well, yeah, no, yeah, me, my mom, and then my brother.
Okay.
So the three of us.
Yo, that's wild. That is really
Uh,
funny. Why did you tweet that? That's another thing. Like, why would you
I
like?
really don't know. Like, I honestly just thought it was like, honestly, like, I just thought the fact that I had spent that much money on a meal that I couldn't taste, I just thought that was funny. That was it.
It's hilarious.
Oh,
Okay, all right. So you're the managing editor at the Star, right? So
yeah.
basically, what are the responsibilities that like you have that Jaden doesn't, or like vice versa? Like, you just like give me a little bit more insight of like as your role like here and like how you contribute.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm second in command to Jaden. So like mainly what I do is like I sort of just like manage like the content that like we have at the Star. So basically like throughout the week I'm just sort of like anticipating like what's going to come in on Friday. So Friday morning when we have our budget meetings, I sort of anticipate like what stories are going to come in, making sure everything has like a visual. And then like Friday morning, I just sort of like go to like our content management system and I just make sure like everything is like coming in on time. Like what stories do we have from news, life and arts, sports, opinions, and then we have our meeting on Friday, and then I just sort of like let everyone know like okay, like this is what we have. Here are our top stories, and I just make sure everyone on our ed board is just doing their job and everything's running smoothly.
And is it stressful? Is it really stressful for you?
I think for me it has been, especially because I've never had a position like this before, so it's like been like a huge learning curve. Like I've been an editor before, but like I wasn't doing anything to this level. So like when I first started, like I was definitely still stressed out and I still kind of am because I'm still trying to figure out like what works, what doesn't work, like what's the best way for me to manage people. So I think like right now I'm in a decent spot. I mean, it is a little bit stressful because I'm also like a full-time student. I'm taking 5 classes, so it's definitely like a task, but I think it's something that I can only anticipate to get better like with time, you know?
What type of editor were you before this? Because I didn't know you were a editor before. What section?
Well, yeah, so the thing is like I actually transferred here last year. So I actually technically
Oh, okay.
haven't even been at the Star for like a year. I transferred here in the fall of 2019 already as a junior. So like I guess I kind of have to like tell the whole story, but like so I'm originally from Corpus Christi, Texas. So I graduated in 2016 and then I actually went to my local community college first and I got my associate's degree in journalism there. And so basically like in 2016 I already started working like in student media and I was like a reporter for that paper, and then I eventually got promoted to news editor my final semester there, so this was like spring 2019. And then I got experience like being an editor at that point in time, but it just like it's such a small publication. I wasn't managing a team really.
Yeah.
And so like that really was like nothing compared to like what I'm doing now. Like here at the Star, it's obviously a much larger like operation.
Hmm.
And so I was an editor there, and then I transferred here in the fall of 2019. And like I didn't actually apply to work at the Star until, so I think I sent in my application like the week before Thanksgiving.
A
And
year
I didn't
ago?
actually, yeah, it was about a year ago. It hasn't exactly been a year. So I want to say maybe been at the Star for like 10 months.
Okay.
So I sent in my application before Thanksgiving, but I didn't actually start writing regularly like on the news section until really until January. So I was writing consistently from January to May, basically. And um, I was honestly really scared because like I don't know, like I didn't know anything about the Star. I didn't know anyone who had worked at the Star. So I didn't even think like I would actually like get the chance to actually work at the Star. Like I just figured it'd be like really competitive and like I didn't even think I would get hired, which
Hmm.
makes no sense because I just figured it'd be like I don't know, I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself to begin with. And so I actually didn't even like want to apply because I figured I wouldn't even get in like as a reporter, which is like so dumb because like here at the Star we accept people who don't even have experience as reporters. Like we don't expect everyone to come in with like this fantastic resume of like all these different things. Like, but I guess I was just like really nervous and I didn't know anything. I didn't know any better. I was just me being ignorant, I guess. But yeah, like I've been here for less than a year, and then in April, I got asked to be managing editor. I had a whole bunch of people kind of like throwing it around, like, oh, you should do it, you should do it, you should do it, and like I'm here standing here like, oh my god, like why am I getting asked this, right? Because like I've only really been here for like a semester. Like I just assume like to have a position like this, like I would, I'd just be like, usually you'd be at the Star for like 3 years, 2 years. I had only been here for a semester, and like I wasn't even like an editor at the Star before. Like I was just a regular reporter. So I'm like confused, right? And then I remember there was like a solid week where like someone new was asking me like every day, like, are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? You should do it. You should do it. And I was just like, fine, I'll do it. I'll apply. And I remember Jaden eventually like messaged me, and I had actually was eyeing the assistant news editor position, which doesn't make any sense because like I was a senior, and like it was just kind of dumb. But when I told Jaden that I really just wanted to be assistant, like he thought that was ridiculous, and he was telling me that no, like you should. I really do think you should apply for this. And I just got interviewed, and like a couple of days later, Jaden called me and was like, "Are you ready to be the next managing editor?" And I was like, "Whoa, like that's crazy." um, so yeah, I just gave you like my entire like story, but
No,
yeah.
I really like it. That's awesome. I relate to you in like the fact like you had only been here for not that long because it was the same with me. You know, like I got hired in March and then I was already planning on doing podcasting like just on my own and like creating like my own like network with like a bunch of friends and all types of different shows. And then Rebecca just randomly asked me in June like, "Hey, would you want to do a podcast?" And then obviously, you were there for like a lot of the development of this and the concept. And then all of a sudden, Jen is like, "Hey, we'll make a position for you." And I was like, "Yo, like, are you for real?" Like,
Yeah.
I completely relate to that aspect. And I honestly I think you're doing a really good job. I think you're
Oh,
doing a
thank
really
you.
good job. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think you're doing a really good job. And I remember I was so excited because like one of the things that we had wanted was like to have more podcasts and stuff like that, but we didn't know like exactly like how we would like go about it.
Hmm.
And so like I actually didn't even know that you worked at the Star. I didn't recognize your name, but like I remember Rebecca had mentioned you and like, yeah, Kim, like he really wants to do this. He really wants to transform like, how, we're doing podcasts and all this stuff. And we had that initial meeting with you. That was the first time I'd ever seen you. And like,
Likewise, yeah.
yeah, and like you were talking about like all your ideas and all your plans, and like I think me, Jaden, and like you're just like, wow, like this guy is like so passionate, and like he just seems like so genuine. I remember like me, Jaden, and like Rebecca like had like a three-way call, and we were just like, let's do it, like let's get Kim on this. Like we were just like so excited.
Yo, that's crazy. Nobody
Yeah.
even told me that. That's crazy, man. It
Yeah.
made my heart smile. I really appreciate
Oh.
it. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, um, because like I told Rebecca this like when we were doing the multimedia meetings because I was like, obviously like I know how to edit like footage and I do YouTube and stuff on the side and like I'm very passionate about like creating content. I always have been, but like when I was in the meetings with everybody else and they're like, I love reporting, this is what I want to do. I love going out finding a story. I love writing. Like this is what I want to do with my life. I was like, I'm not like that, and it just gave me that
Mhm.
sense of like what like do I belong here, you know what I mean? Because like I've said it before, it was Carrington that really like told me to go here and was like, don't go to KTSW, go to the Star, they'll help you out, it looks good on your resume, the quality of work will be better. And I was like, man, I don't know, I was just very hesitant because I never really had that drive, in terms of in journalism. But honestly, I think it's pretty cool now, and like, seeing how everyone here operates and, the work that we put out, I think is dope, to be honest. So, maybe one day, I'll be one of those people, but it's definitely got me reading more, I will say. And I think it's just awesome. So I really appreciate, you guys trusting me because, this wouldn't have been possible without you. So genuinely, thank you. It means a lot to me, and we
Yeah,
we've already
no,
we've
and
already started to grow a lot too. So the future is only going to look brighter.
yeah, no, and thank you because like I'm so glad that we now like have like this podcast because I think it's gonna really allow us the opportunity to like for like the community to actually like see us and talk to us, because I mean really like the community like really only knows us as like our byline, you
Yeah.
know, on the
Yeah.
website, you know, and so they really like don't know like our personalities. And like, you know, most people, they probably see my name or they see Jaden's name, but they don't actually get to see him or any of us. And so I think it's a really good opportunity for us. So yeah, thank you.
I agree as well. I think thus far, especially that's one of the reasons why I asked you is because I think it's very impactful. This is another thing Rebecca and I was talking about was like having the personality too, you know? Because like at the end of the day, like we're people too, you know, that we just put out content, we write, we do all these things as an organization, but like, you know, some people are pretty funny, you know, some people got funny stories, you know, it's just we have a good time too. And I think this is a really good outlet for that.
Yeah.
So I know that you got started in journalism because you're a high school teacher, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about like that and like what has what? What's so funny?
No, I'm just really glad that you remember that because I
Yeah,
mentioned it. So, okay.
yeah, of
So,
course. Keep it up here. Like how that got started, like go a little more in depth and like what's kept you going, you know, because I find it interesting, like the people that are very passionate about this and that are like, you know, I want to go out, I want to find this story, you know, this is because this isn't really like a glamorous job, you know, like we had like when we were doing the Camp Star and we have a bunch of reporters, you know, it takes a lot of work and you know, it might look good like, hey, I'm a journalist but there's a lot that comes with that. So tell me like what keeps you going and like what you enjoy so much about it.
yeah. So I think starting like what you were talking about first about my high school teacher. So I actually never really had any interest in journalism for a really long time. I actually didn't decide that I wanted to study journalism until like my senior year of high school. Like I had always enjoyed like news and like current events, probably more than like the average person in my grade at the time. Um, and I actually really wanted to be like a nurse practitioner, which is super random, and would involve like a lot of schooling, and like it's not something that like I'm really super passionate about, but I figured like, oh, I can make a lot of money doing this, and like, you know, I'll have a secure job. But you know, I think when I kind of stood back and sort of like analyzed like, okay, like will I be happy doing this? Like I knew I wouldn't, like I'd be absolutely miserable. So I sort of like stepped back and sort of like analyzed like, okay, like what do I enjoy doing? And like writing was one of the things, and like current events. I love the news. And so I was like, okay, that's journalism, right? So my during my senior year of high school, I was lucky enough that like my high school actually offered journalism as a class. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this class, and then like I'm gonna figure out like if I really like it. If I don't, I won't study it in college. If I do, maybe I will. And so I took the class and I immediately just fell in love with the journalism like instantaneously. And I was lucky enough that I had a really cool teacher. His name was Mr. DeFries. So Mr. DeFries, if you're watching this, shout out to him, because he was kind of like the biggest reason like why I study journalism. He was just super supportive, and he's the first person that taught me like how to write a news lead, like inverted pyramid format. And you know, we would just do like little writing assignments in class, and he just noticed that like maybe I was more far along than like other students in the class, and so he sort of like hunkered down like on me and specifically. And he just gave like, you know, words of encouragement. And eventually he actually like registered me for like a couple of those like UIL competitions. I don't know if you know what those are.
Yeah, yeah.
But um, there's UIL competitions for news writing and like editorial writing. And so he had registered me for both of those, without me actually knowing, which is kind of weird. He was just like, oh, I registered you for this because I believe in you. Oh, and I was like, okay. And so like I did them. And I think I got like third place in both of them, which isn't like amazing, but like I still placed. And that was sort of like the validation that I needed, because that was the first time I had ever gotten like an award for anything. And like Mr. DeFries was like the first person to tell me that I was good at anything,
Hmm.
right? So I knew that like, okay, I think this is it, right? So then I studied it in college, and I mean, I guess the rest is history, right? Like I I don't know. I think there's just something that I just love about like storytelling. Like, there's I've written so many stories like at this point. I've been writing pretty consistently since 2016, which is how many years from now. So, um I just love the idea of just sitting down with someone and then just like them pouring their heart out to you and just like learning about them and just sort of like having like that really one-on-one intimate with someone, just being able to like be their outlet, right? And just giving them that opportunity to like voice what they feel, like their opinions. And like I just really appreciate that. And I think it's journalism is just such a wonderful opportunity for everyone. So I don't know, like it's just I can't really give you like this long explanation. It's just I just love writing and I love journalism. It's just something that I want to pursue.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm really happy you're doing what you enjoy doing, and I think we have plenty of nurse practitioners or whatever it is, and
Yeah, we're good.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm happy for you, and it's always fulfilling to me when I hear somebody who's like chose like what they want to do and they took that leap of faith. That's similar to like what I did. Because initially when I was going into college, I was doing computer information systems in the College of Business, and yeah, like your face, you can't really see me doing that, right? Oh, you can or you can't?
I mean, I don't know what you're capable of, Kim. So,
Oh, I mean, I was doing it because, like, it's like website design, it's like network security,
okay.
but I was only doing it just because, like, there's money in it. I didn't really like enjoy doing it, but like the first day, I also had like a mentor, Professor Leidick, who was at the community college I went to in the summer before I came to Texas State, and he was a very positive influence, and like I really got into writing during that time as well, and I would just write like just how I was feeling like in a journal because we had to do journals and like turn them in, and I would just like write about like the decision in college and like doing what I want and choosing like happiness over money and everything, and he it like wrote in one of the journals he was like just do what makes you happy, and he was like one of those people because in high school I was doing AP classes, and like in AP classes they really just they don't really care about like the quality. It's just more of like, hey, we need to get you ready for the AP test, like we need to hurry up, and I always like look down upon my writing because of that, because I didn't get that validation. So having somebody that can support you and just push you forward is really a positive influence. And
Yeah.
what was your teacher's name? Let's shout him out again.
Mr. DeFreeze, or his full name is Bill DeFreeze.
Mr. DeFreeze,
So,
you're the goat. You're the goat.
yeah, for real. Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is you're graduating next spring, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel? Are you nervous?
Um, so no, not really. And I think a lot of that is just because like I still plan on like pursuing my master's degree. So like it's like okay, I graduate, but like I'm still going to be going to school like the next year. So like I just know that this journey isn't over for me. I think once I, get to like my final semester for like my graduate degree, I think I'm really going to feel it, but I'm not feeling it yet actually.
And
Not there.
we read the 19th article about like women and the employment being affected within the pandemic, and the graduates from like this year and the next year are really going to feel that effect, and how like all the gains that women have made over this past decade have just kind of like not necessarily been all for nothing, but it's just been like they've taken steps back, you know? Do you think maybe like this pandemic will impact like your employment in the future or like stuff like that, That's something I've thought a lot about when it comes to women, like seeing how this pandemic has affected um, women so much, and that's just something I'm very curious about.
Yeah, I think for journalism in particular, I don't see that it's going to be something that's going to be affected because I mean, we need journalism, right? Like
Hmm.
we need people to be out there and like reporting like the pandemic, and I think like there's always going to be that demand. So I think in that case, I feel like I'm kind of lucky in that sense, right? But like I imagine like if I maybe wasn't in journalism, if I was pursuing something else, then maybe it would be a different story. But I think newspapers and any news outlet is always going to need reporters, especially now more than ever, right? So I guess no, I haven't really thought about that or have been concerned. But I can't imagine how it is for other people.
So what do you want to do like in the future after you graduate?
Um, okay, so like it's a very loaded question, right? I think that's like I I sort of know already. So like I think, and this is actually something that a lot of people don't really know about me, is like I am really passionate about like environmental journalism. And so like I would hope to possibly work somewhere and be able to have the opportunity to be able to cover things like environmental justice issues, but more specifically climate change. And so I don't really know, like, I can't give you specific places. Like, I would love to work here in Texas and cover that issue here locally. But, I think you know, if a good opportunity arises, like out of state, I'm definitely, if I can't turn it down, I'm definitely open to that too. But I think I would be happy to work anywhere where I could be granted the opportunity to cover that. I think climate change is something that is going to be around for like a really long time. And I think we're already seeing the effects. Like, I mean, we live in Texas, right?
Yeah.
It's hot outside, right? We have worsening hurricanes each year. I'm from Corpus Christi, so like I live right by the Gulf Coast. Like sea levels are rising, Um, I think Texas is like one of the worst emitters of greenhouse gases and CO2. Like we have like the biggest like oil and gas industry here, and like we're poisoning our air, and like that's really affecting the health of a lot of people here in this state. That could have like very bad like long-term effects, right? And so I think there is going to be an even larger demand for journalists to be out there and covering people who are being affected by this. And it's important to note that, climate change doesn't affect everyone equally, right?
Yeah.
If you are a minority, you are more than likely going to be hit the hardest, right? So
Why is
it
that?
disproportionately affects Black and Latino people, and that's because I was actually reading a Scientific American article. If Scientific American is a really good website to read for climate news. They do a lot of like they're at the forefront of science journalism. Um, but Black people statistically are less likely to have access to a reliable AC unit, right? So like they are more likely to die from things like heat exhaustion, right? From due to rising temperatures. So things like that. Minorities are more likely to work outdoors, where they are going to be affected by things like this. And so it's important to cover those kind of aspects, right? So I sort of like want to be out there talking to people who are being directly impacted by this and just hopefully bring to light this issue, which unfortunately I feel like doesn't really get a lot of coverage. And I think a lot of that is just due in part because climate change is just like an incredibly abstract issue, because it takes a while for you to see the effects. It doesn't necessarily like happen like overnight. And I think if you are like a first world country, you're more likely to have, the money to sort of like mitigate the effects for a while. But if you're a third world country that doesn't really have a lot of money, I mean, you don't really have the resources to, build seawalls and stuff like that. You're forced to move from your country because, your fresh water is being invaded by ocean water, and all of a sudden you don't have clean water to drink. So now you have to move away from your island, right? So things like that are out there happening right now. And so I sort of just feel like this sense of urgency, which is weird. And so I just want to be out there covering those issues. And I think it's something that's not really covered a lot, which is a bit upsetting. And so I want to be a part of that.
What would your master's degree be like for something like that if that's what you're striving for? Like what would you study?
Well, so I've done like research in this, and like really like if you want to like write about like like something in science journalism, for example, like you don't really need like a science degree. And I think a lot of that is just because like um, you're explaining science things to non-science people, right?
Uh-huh.
And so I just don't really think like you really need to be like a scientist to like know these things, because I mean the people that you're going to be like giving this information to, they aren't scientists. They don't want to get this information from scientists, right?
Yeah.
Directly. So I am just going to get my graduate degree in journalism. So but eventually I would like to get to a place where I can cover these issues. And I think a lot of that is just like pitching stories like to your editor that are in relation to climate change, and then eventually working your way up to be like an environmental reporter. But now that like I think of it, like I feel like environmental like journalism like isn't like really going to be like a thing, because I think climate change is like going to affect everyone. So even if you aren't like an environmental journalist, like if you're just like a regular journalist covering just like regular city issues, like you're eventually going to have to cover that too, because it's just going to be a part of life, right?
Yeah.
So, it's just going to be, the way of life. So, I just like want to be a part of that.
So you're a journalism major now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're just gonna when you go to your graduate, you're just gonna double down and just try and get, that even more experience in journalism?
Yeah, like I don't know like where I'm gonna go now. Like I know where I want to go, but like I don't want to say it because like if I don't get in, it's gonna be like terrible. But like
Okay.
I really like what I want to do is like I want to expand more. I'm realizing that I'm really lacking sort of like in multimedia, right?
Hmm.
Like I know the basics of like a news story, but like I don't really have a lot of experience in news photography, videography, like audio. And so I want to sort of like expand in those areas in particular. And like I feel like maybe going to grad school can help me with that, because like obviously like writing is one thing, and like it's really good to have that down. But
Yeah.
like climate change can be told visually, right? And I think the visual opportunities that can come from that um, are going to be really powerful, because if people actually see like what's happening, I think that's going to be really effective. Like obviously an article is important and can be, helpful, but I think if people actually see and hear directly from people and see like how their communities are being affected, I think that just in of itself is going to be very, very powerful. And so I want to have the opportunity to be able to do that as well and sort of learn that sort of area so I can eventually, learn how to do that myself.
Do you think that the United States is I mean, I don't think we're necessarily going in the right direction in terms of climate because we're not in the Paris Accords anymore, and the current president doesn't really believe in climate change. But obviously, I'm with you. That's a very serious issue. And do you think that we will get to that point eventually, or is that just being like too optimistic to where
What do you
I
what do you
mean
mean? Like,
I mean because so many people right now are either in denial because they're just like go outside, it's fine, like we're gonna be fine, or some people are sold they're like, it's not gonna affect me, like I don't care. So do you
yeah.
think that we're gonna get to like a point where we can just drop the global carbon emissions? That's what I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I am no expert in this, y'all. So like, I highly recommend going to like NASA's website and getting the facts directly. But like, to answer your question, like, I don't know. Like, it really depends on the leaders we elect, right? It really, really depends on that, and that's why you have to go out and you have to vote, right? But it kind of goes back to what I was saying before about climate change being very abstract. You don't feel the effects immediately. It doesn't happen overnight. And so it's very easy to be like, "Oh, well, I'm going outside and it's fine. I feel good." Well, like how is it going to be like 20 years from now when your kids are older? What kind of planet are you going to be leaving for your grandchildren, right? And so unfortunately, I think a lot of people, especially people who, big oil and gas executives, all those people, like, unfortunately, I do feel like they are more concerned with the short-term profits that they do receive from the fossil fuel industry, and they are completely disregarding what they're going to leave behind for future generations to come. And I think that's why we need to get out there and we need to vote, protest, anything that you can. And obviously, there are certain things that you can do personally in your life, little changes that can help. But unfortunately, I do feel like we're at a point where we need to pass laws and, proper reforms that could actually, make a difference. But, it really depends on what we do now.
Are you familiar with the Keeling curve, or the I think it's
No, I'm not actually.
so the Keeling curve, or it may be kneeling curve. It's one of those two. I'm pretty sure it's the Keeling curve. I learned about this in biology, and I wasn't aware of this until I had heard about it. So basically, in Hawaii, right? There's a it Hawaii, like, geographically is in a great place, and there's a volcano there which is high enough to where scientists are able to get high enough and they can read the global carbon emissions, right? Now, like, historically, it had never passed, I think, 200, like, for literal centuries, because, it was like Middle Ages, and then there were just animals here, it wasn't people. But then ever since, the Industrial Revolution, it just started to go up and up and up and up every year. And then, like, right now, it's literally the highest in the planet's history. Like, so, and it's so scary because once you know that and you realize, like, we are on pace to continue going up, and it's just going to get hotter and hotter, and the ice caps are going to melt, and eventually islands are not going to be islands anymore. They're going to be underwater. It really is so scary. Like, for a
Yeah.
long period of time, I was really nihilistic about it, and I just kind of lost hope, because it's like people don't care, you know?
Yeah, I think if you live in like in the middle of America, it's easy to just like feel like, oh, like it's not a big deal. But like if you're someone that lives in a little island in the Pacific, like you're going to be affected.
Yeah.
And I just think it's very selfish to, continue with the way that we're going and then just completely disregard, other people who, are going to be affected by this. It's just absolutely like it makes me really angry.
Me too. And it's like, yo, we're getting record heat every year.
Yeah.
For year after year after year. Yo, like, there's a reason for that, It's like the sun isn't just getting hotter. It's oh man,
Yeah,
it's
and I think the thing is like, and this is something that we just all have to accept is like, even if we actually today, right now, this second, just stopped emitting greenhouse gases, our planet is still going to heat up for years, right? It would only start cooling like years down the line. Eventually, it would sort of get back to normal. But like, we're at a pace right now where like, even if we stop, like, we are still going to see dramatic effects. So like a lot of the stuff, like, the Greenland melting, stuff like that. Like that stuff is already inevitable at this point. There's no turning around. I know it sounds like kind of scary. It's like a doomsday scenario, but like that's why like I get frustrated because like it's something that's so serious. And because it's something that's not happening tomorrow, like people just don't seem to really care. That urgency is just like not there. Um, I don't know. It's weird.
nah, yo, I understand, and it's like, yo, we're young, you know what I'm saying? Like, eventually we want to grow older. Maybe we want to have families. I want to have the chance, I don't want to get to the point where I'm grown and we've already done irreversible damage to the planet. And at that point, people are like, yo, this is serious. We have to do something now. That's what it feels like is
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating. I agree with you about how important it is, and had it not been for those environmental journalists or people writing about it, I wouldn't know as much as I do now, because I wrote an essay about climate change for an English 1 class, and I learned a lot about it, and
Oh, I
it's
did
like,
too.
yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
what was your, like, what would you talk about in yours? Just how
Okay, so
we're
I'm
doomed.
yeah. I
Yeah.
remember like I remember when I was in college I did I still am in college.
Yeah.
But I remember I remember I did an essay on just like a general like overview on like what climate change is, like what the greenhouse effect is. And then like that was for English 1, and then for Texas government, I did one specifically on Texas greenhouse gas emissions. And then that one was like eye opening. Like it was incredible. But like not that it was like really good, but like everything that I learned was like crazy. But like and then for my speech class, I did like this huge speech on like climate change and why people should care about it. My class was like shook. Like I just felt like after I finished that speech, like I got so passionate and like got so into it that everyone was just like, oh my god, like she cares like too much. I felt like so like, oh my gosh, I don't know. But like if you know me, you know I'm very passionate about this issue, and I just get like I get like worked up sometimes. So, you know, that's just the way I am. I just love it.
That's another reason why I liked Bernie, because Bernie cared too. Jesus, I really
I don't want
hope.
to like I don't want to talk about my political affiliations or anything like that because like I'm a journalist, so I don't like I don't want to like reveal that, but yes, like I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean that's all I had to say. Just say you know what I'm. Yeah, he's right because it's like we're the pace that we are on, and like once you know that like the planet is literally the hottest in recorded history, and we have nothing to go off of, and like what's gonna happen, and it's
Yeah.
just it's so scary, yo. It is,
Yeah.
especially because we're
Um
young, and like it's gonna get worse, and this is
yeah.
directly impacting our lives.
Yeah. I actually like I got into this because I didn't know anything about climate change. I didn't care about climate change. I didn't know. But like it wasn't until 2016 where I'd watched this one documentary called, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's called Before the Flood. And it's a National Geographic documentary, and it actually stars Academy Award winner Leonardo DiCaprio. And he's like traveling to like all these different continents, and he's like showing like the effects of climate change. And I remember I had watched it just out of genuine interest because I was like confused as to why Leonardo DiCaprio would be like in this documentary.
Mhm.
And like I just watched it because I was bored in like my room one day. And like I watched it, and like my mind was like completely blown. Like I had no idea like the severity of this issue. And like I guess it like influenced me so much to the point where like I decided to like literally pursue this as my like career. But yeah, power of media, I guess. You know, I was just so shook afterwards.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. I know he's very outspoken. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Some guys coming, I think, to fix the AC. So
We can cut
I'll
that
just.
out.
Oh yeah, I have the power post. I'll just
Yeah.
cut it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he's very like outspoken about it, and I'm happy
Yeah.
he's kind of like he's not necessarily the faces of it, but like one of those stars that's really like advocating for it. And I wish more people took it seriously because, like we talked about, it's so important. It's so important, and like if we have the chance to stop it or at least slow it down, why wouldn't we? Like, why would we not help? What like especially since it affects literally everybody on Earth.
Yeah. And obviously like it's thing is like it's no easy task to just automatically switch to renewables because the price of renewables is obviously really high, and like there's so much money in oil and gas, right? And so like like you can't do that overnight, so I don't really have like an answer for you for that really. Like it's just it is what it is, and like I can only hope that one day like someone one day takes action. So
I'll tell you what. Do you think China's plan is good? Did you hear about that? Like the president of China was
well,
trying to do stuff for the climate.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the specifics of the plan, but I do know that China like was like one of the worst emitters. And it's kind of crazy because the US used to be sort of like at the forefront of this issue, but obviously now that's obviously not the case anymore. But now China sort of is at the forefront of this issue now. and is sort of like a leader in this right now. And so I'm really glad that China is sort of making changes, because I mean, in China, like, the conditions are absolutely horrible. The air quality is terrible. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that from anyone, especially China in particular, with how large our population is.
Yeah, I really do hope it gets better. If I'm being honest, because like we talked about, it's such a serious issue, and you know, just people are really ignorant nowadays, and don't want to accept the truth. So I hope it gets better. I hope it gets better.
Yeah, believe the scientists, please.
I'm begging. I'm begging. Like
All y'all, please.
they're not capping. It's
Believe the
fact.
experts, please.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Um yeah. I think that'll do it for today's episode. I really appreciated having you on. This was a really great conversation. And
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
yeah. You'll be back. I promise you'll be back.
Yeah.
And I
This wasn't
no,
no,
go ahead.
I was gonna say this wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Like, I completely forgot I was even being recorded.
I
Like, that's
know.
pretty good.
Yeah, I
I
told
completely
you.
forgot.
I
Like, this is so
told
fun. I
you.
like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I told you. Like, you're good. You're so nervous. You're like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. Like, what are we gonna talk about? I'm like, yo, chill. It's just me. Like, you're not in trouble.
Oh
You're good.
my god.
Oh man, is there anything
Okay.
you want to plug or say before we cut out?
Only thing I want to plug is that STAR applications are opening on October 5th. So if you
Yes.
are interested in working at the STAR, please apply. All sections will be open for applications. And if you apply, then this will be for the spring semester, so you won't start until then. But the application will be open for the entirety of the month of October. So please, if you are interested in working at the STAR, please don't be afraid. We don't bite. And also, we don't need any prior experience. We are always looking for new, fresh people to join our team. So please, if you're interested, send an application.
And you guys seen me. You guys now see Gabby.
Yes.
We're pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
So, what? Come on down. What are you waiting for? Let's go.
yeah, I mean, let's have a good time. We have fun. We have a lot of fun. And since
Yeah, I
Gabby
think so.
doesn't have COVID, you'll be good. You'll be good to go. Under. All right. See you guys next week. Take care.